Hey, tough guy. You know what these are? Huh? Yeah, that's right. That's some natural, God given chompers right there. And just like everything in life, they're not perfect. But these teeth are real. And this enamel, it's been places you wouldn't believe. From food to pussy. That's right, I'm down there biting on it like bubblegum. Yep. It's I haven't slept again. It's 6:45 a.m. I've been up all night for the third time this week. I'm in a silly, goofy mood. Point is though, I've got real teeth, which is becoming less and less common now online. A lot of the people you see on the cyberspace is rocking veneers. It's become extremely common, and now there's even huge scams revolving veneers with people that are claiming to be veneer techs. Meanwhile, they're just greasy goobers that like read a single Google article on how to like potentially install veneers, but it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. It doesn't actually make them qualified. They basically just say install the veneers with rusty nails and toothpicks. And I just learned about someone who basically took one of those courses and opened their own business with it. I learned about her from a Tozy who just covered her. Her name's Emily Martinez, and she's actually in my neck of the woods down here, baby. We are getting some absolute lunatics recently in the headlines down here in the old swamp. Emily Martinez is facing some serious years in the slammer for practicing dentistry without a license. She had been running a business where she would give people veneers extremely cheap because she would just crazy glue a set of veneers to people's mouths, which inevitably led to people getting infections and needing emergency care.
Came here to Tap In Beauty Bar to get a smile makeover, but they left with pain and injuries. Police say that Emily Martinez used crazy glue to put veneers on her victim's teeth. She's not smiling in her mugshot, but giving clients a bright white smile with veneers is what Emily Martinez advertised on social media. Video after video shows her claiming to transform teeth from drab to fab, except
she is not licensed to put in veneers. She has no schooling to do veneers. And in the state of Florida, obviously, you have to be licensed to do any kind of work like that.
An interesting scheme, and surprisingly, she's not alone. She is, to my knowledge, the only one that's been like busted for this of installing veneers using crazy glue. But as I briefly touched on, there is this new practice of veneer techs that are popping up, which are just people that Googled how to install veneer and read the WikiHow guide that popped up first. Like they're not actually experts, but they're getting business because veneers are expensive, like real ones are expensive, and people like Emily Martinez are charging a fraction of the cost. So people are like, oh, I'll save money and get some real nice teeth, and then they go get their shit fucked.
Something her victims didn't know. Two separate customers reported Martinez to Pinellas Park Police this summer after they had complications, and Martinez refused to fix the work or refund them.
They were told by an actual dentist that the veneers that were placed in the victim's mouth appeared to have done with crazy glue.
On average, a single veneer at a dentist office can cost between $900 to $1,500 per tooth. One victim paid Martinez $2,500 for the entire mouth.
And no doubt that mouth is going to need more than $2,500 to fix everything that went wrong after that visit. You can't just let crazy glue go in there and rot your entire oral hygiene to smithereens. So some people got infections, others needed emergency care, all because they wanted to pinch a few pennies on getting these veneers to chase this ever-increasing beauty standard from shit that they see online and then get hypnotized into thinking that they need to do it. Veneers have become very popular. A lot of celebrities you see have veneers. A lot of influencers online you see have veneers. So now this market is booming and people following this trend, which has led to people like Emily Martinez exploiting it and trying to squeeze some doubloons from some gullible people. I struggle to imagine the people that will see an Instagram post, a complete stranger claiming to be a veneer tech and just rationalizing it in their head that it's a good idea to make that purchase. They must know what they're doing. All because they saw an Instagram post. It's crazy. And I know it's not anything groundbreaking or new. This happens in every industry. You can probably go on Facebook Marketplace right now and find Big Bubba's Tires offering BBLs in the back rooms. Like, you can find all of these, like, back alley surgeons to do these procedures for cheap. And it's always going to be horrible. It's always going to be the most atrocious work possible that is going to really damage you in the long term. Maybe not even in the long term. Maybe immediately it will hurt you. There are people that have died from botched BBLs. Like, I'm getting sidetracked. As far as we know, no one has died from these veneer installments. But people have got infections and needed serious care to fix it, spending significantly more money on the maintenance and fixing of their teeth than what they saved by going to Emily Martinez for a cheaper set of veneers.
It's not the first time she's been accused of this crime. We learned in March Martinez was arrested on charges of unlicensed dentist work in Hillsborough County. She was released and performed the work on Pinellas victims in June and July. And it may have been more than veneers.
We also got information that possibly pulling of teeth. We did also get information that maybe even like children's veneers. So this is still an active investigation.
From the sound of things, people that paid a visit for those veneers viewed her as a dentist. So they started, I guess, requesting like tooth extractions and shit. Or maybe she was just offering that for funsy. Like, hey, this tooth looks a little rotted. Do you want me to just yank it? I'll only charge you like $1,000. They're like, oh, great, what a deal. I wonder how that extraction went, by the way. She probably just got a pair of needle nose pliers and just yanked that bitch right out. Or maybe just took like a hammer and chisel and just fucking whacked on it or something. Like, I bet it was the sloppiest, most painful process ever for a tooth extraction. I imagine finding your dentist through a veneer tech post on Instagram. It blows my mind how anyone would let themselves do that. And according to the report here, she was also allegedly doing veneers for children as well. What the fuck?
The American Dental Association issued a warning last year about unlicensed people claiming to be so-called veneer techs on social media. The ADA says any dental procedure that may alter the physical structure of an individual's teeth, gums, or jaws without the supervision of a dentist has the potential to cause irreversible harm.
A statement like that is so painfully obvious that it's sad that it actually needs to be explained to people. Like, people should be able to have the bare minimum intelligence to recognize that going to a random Instagram account that's charging you like a crazy deal on veneers is probably going to lead to some subpar work, or at the very least, this person is a shady individual and probably not like a general accredited dentist. Like, I don't know how people don't see that by doing something like this, you are setting yourself up for failure. It's also just such a nice cherry on top of this cake here. She was refusing refunds. So those customers that had the complications approached her directly, and she just said, absolutely not. I'm putting the kibosh on that line of questioning right now. No refunds. This is a non-negotiable.
Police say Martinez's victims needed emergency dental care after what she did to their teeth.
They actually have had to pay thousands of dollars to get their teeth fixed. And some of them had to wait for the infection to clear and go get their teeth fixed.
And police say that Martinez was operating here since at least January, but she has used multiple different names for herself and her business. They encourage anyone who may have used her services to reach out to police.
This lady was unhinged with this business here. I am very curious how many people paid for her services, because we know at least 2 of them had some pretty big complications that required like serious tending to, according to the stories. I even read a report that apparently where she claimed to be a dental assistant for 4 years and had proper tools and training, and she learned how to do this procedure after taking an online course on how to fix her 11-year-old daughter's smile after her teeth were knocked out. So basically, she did a Google search on installing veneers and then launched a whole business which basically amounted to just crazy gluing that shit to people's mouths. A mind-boggling strategy. Also, that's apparently not that uncommon when it comes to veneer techs. According to some of the reports, veneer techs take like a 2-day course on how to do it. Truly someone worth putting your oral health in the hands of. Pretty interesting stuff here. I'm curious what her sentencing will ultimately look like. And I'm, like I said, very interested to know how many clients she had. I bet there are people that were seeing her actively like a general dentist, like even going for checkups to her. I bet. But anyway, I just wanted to yap about this a bit. That's it. See ya. Are you mad right now? Do you want to be? I saw a video today that was pretty infuriating. This lady is behind the wheel of a rented vehicle from Turo. This is allegedly posted by the owner of that vehicle after, spoiler alert, she gets into an accident here and then tries to lie about what happened. This was posted in response to that to show what actually happened, and if you've got some keen peepers on you, the astute observers may have noticed she's texting while driving. But to be honest, I don't even think that's accurate to say because she is doing more texting than driving, so she's like occasionally splicing in some driving between her texts. It seems like she's in some kind of heated argument, and that is like her primary focus is sending these text messages while on the road. I'm sure I don't need to educate you on the dangers of texting while driving. I'm not the DMV. I'm also not your dad. I imagine most of you know that, and this is one of the most egregious examples of texting while driving I've ever seen. She could easily have just pulled over and sent those messages if it's that urgent, but instead she said, fuck it, we'll do it live, so she's doing it while on the road, risking her life and the life of those around her. I guess she's really got places to be in those messages. That's like fucking utmost importance. If you're not first, you're last. If you're not pooping, you're shitting. Even while her car is veering off the road and blasting a mailbox, she is firmly grasping that phone. She is gripping the shit out of that. She still will not set it down in the act of crashing this vehicle. She treated that phone like it was the fucking Tesseract there. She was not parting with it. It's not until it is finally stopped that she sets the phone down and then puts her head in her hands and then immediately picks the phone back up after like 3 seconds. It's like she can't be separated from it. It's her fucking umbilical cord. It's unreal. It's actually a miracle she didn't just have a head-on collision here. I counted too. She looked up from her phone only 5 times in the amount of time that she spent on that single lane there. So she spent the vast majority of her time there behind the wheel looking at the phone, glued to it. In fact, she even double-fisted the phone at one point to get two-thumb action in there. No hands on the wheel, not looking up at the road. It is actually an act of God that she didn't kill herself or somebody else there. Just an unsuspecting, innocent car that she could have easily veered to the left instead of the right and just hit with a head-on collision, which would have potentially been fatal. Also, her squeals that she lets out, oh man, that is ear-piercing. And then she has like that full-blown like angry middle-aged mom scream after it like comes to a stop when it's entirely her fault. Apparently, again, the story is she's like a nurse practitioner and lied to the Turo owner here of this vehicle about what happened and why the car got crashed. I haven't seen too many details on all of that, but it's entirely her fault. You can see here in the footage, she is texting the vast majority of the time that she spends on the road. And I imagine this isn't an isolated incident. This is probably how she goes about her daily commutes. You can tell people till the cows come home how dangerous and bad it is to text and drive, but then you're still going to have people like this doing it. And it's actually, to me, it seems like becoming more common. Like, I know there was like even a trend a little while ago for streamers to do like car streams, and in some of them, they were just texting and reading the chat while driving, like while being filmed doing it. So it seems like people don't really grasp how important it is to not drive distracted. But anyway, this is probably the most egregious example of it that I've seen. This is unhinged. It's like she totally forgot she was operating a motor vehicle. She was so engrossed in her phone. That took priority over everyone's lives around her and her own life. Now, I don't know what the outcome of all of this was. There's not a ton of information I can find on it, other than, like, she's apparently a nurse practitioner and apparently lied about how the car got crashed. But the owner of the vehicle had the interior facing dash cam as well as the other dash cam. People were debating if that's even legal to have like a rented car with an interior facing dash cam. I looked it up. It is, but you just need to disclose to the renter that it's there, which I imagine is part of like the signed contract between them or something. I've never used Turo. I'm not super familiar with it, but it seems like the owner is well within the right to do that, and I could definitely see why people that are renting their car out might want that as like a bit of a security measure here, as this case beautifully illustrates, where your car gets wrecked and then all of a sudden the person that was driving it starts farting out a fairy tale about how it's not their fault, and then you've got no evidence that it was their fault, so now you're stuck with your dick in your hand and you're going to have to pay for that most likely. So I can see why you would want that there, and in this case it probably saved them a huge headache because they can instantly point to this as her fault, because it is her fault. Entirely her fault. Anyway though, enough blabbering about it from me today. A little PSA for you. Don't text and drive. That's really about it. See ya. What's up everybody, it's Critical. Going through some shitty Kickstarter projects again. Here's the potato doctor. This needs no introduction. It's a doctor for your potato. As all of us know, there's 3 big medical fields. There's cardiology, there's neurology, and there's potatology. And this one is at the top of the food chain for that discipline. Let's dive in.
We all love to eat.
I'm gonna stop it right there for a second. That's a horrible start to your Kickstarter pitch. That is fucking stupid. No shit, we all love to eat. Our species relies on food to survive. No one likes when you point out something every single human being in the world knows. It's just stupid. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from or what you've been through. Your sky is still blue. Go ahead and order this nutsack blanket. It's a blanket for your nutsack.
So the tools that help us prepare our food are invaluable. There's a new food prep tool, the first of its kind. Introducing the Potato Doctor.
It's a fucking screwdriver. This looks like a rectal thermometer.
The world's first food prep tool that creates magnificent loaded baked potatoes. With the help of the Potato Doctor, we will show you how to get from this to this and even this.
Get to what? A picnic in the backyard with some friends while the baked potato looks all lonely and sad and shit in the corner? This looks like me during my freshman year of college at frat parties, just hiding on my phone in the back corners, hoping no one would see me and I was invisible. This isn't displaying a cool potato at all. Everyone's avoiding that potato. They're making fun of that potato over at the hot dog table over there. This potato just looks like a fucking outcast.
So you won't get this.
That looks pretty damn good to me, but then again, what do I know? The baked potatoes I make can't afford healthcare, so they can't go to the potato doctor.
Step 2. Mix your desired seasoning with a liquid, either milk, water, butter, or whatever the recipe requires. Pour the seasoning mixture in the bottle of the Potato Doctor.
But why? Why wouldn't you just take those ingredients and put them in the potato? They'd be fresher and you wouldn't need to go through this extra step of including the Potato Doctor.
Step 3. Use the Potato Doctor to inject, scramble, and mix the seasoning mixture into your baked potato.
Yeah, then you just give your fucking potatoes a rabies shot over here with your ingredients. The way she wiggles it around in there makes it look like some malpractice. What's the point? Is using a fork to mix it all around that difficult?
JSW Products created the Potato Doctor because, first, the potato is one of the healthiest things on this planet.
No, it's not.
It contains no fat, nor does it contain cholesterol.
That doesn't make it healthy. And I'm so fucking tired of this stupid mentality that fat and cholesterol are bad for you, and if you see it in your food on the labels that you shouldn't eat it. I'm not gonna get into nutrition. Just know he's wrong. Fats are good for you, so are some cholesterols. And potatoes aren't that bad, but they're nowhere close to being the healthiest thing in the world a human being can consume.
This innovative tool is the epitome of what JSW Products stands for.
Well, that's sad. I'd be pretty embarrassed if my company was represented by a potato doctor, that the best thing my company could ever make and the thing that really represents my company and shows what we're all about is a fucking needle that can help make your baked potatoes.
The Potato Doctor is awesome. It's easy to use, works fast, and needs almost no cleanup.
Bullshit. You know what needs almost no cleanup? A fucking fork. With a Potato Doctor, you have to take that motherfucker apart and clean each and every nook and cranny of it. It's a needle. That's gonna be a real bitch to clean. A fork, That's pretty simple.
You can receive the Potato Doctor, some Flavor Monsters.
Why are these called Flava Monsters? It's not an Xbox Live gamer tag and you're not 12 years old. This is a company. Name them appropriately. That just sounds stupid and silly.
The special mixing container, and much more. So please fund the Potato Doctor campaign and help us help you make life easier.
I'm sorry to say, JSW, but the Potato Doctor makes the process much more complicated and much more of a headache. A, having to clean the damn thing, and B, actually using it's going to be much more of a hassle instead of just putting the ingredients in the potato and mixing it with a fork, as everyone has done for many years. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no reason to reinvent the potato or modernize it. It's fine just as is. It's about as perfect as you can get. But yeah, really, just not a good product idea. And that's it. See ya. Surgery is a very scary thing. You are literally putting your life into someone else's hands. And unfortunately, sometimes those hands aren't focused on the task. They're focused on doing some of this. And maybe even a little of this. And God forbid, Lord help us, sometimes even this. What I'm talking about today is the dancing doctor trend. It's kind of dwindled in popularity after some of the doctors participating in it lost their license because of it, which I think is justice served. And in fact, I think that's not far enough. I think if you are a doctor who is compromising the health of their patient because of this dancing trend that you did, you should probably face a little bit more than just the license being revoked. You literally put their life at risk for some clout. Like, that's not an exaggeration to say. Now, this was a bit of a viral trend for a little bit. It actually predates TikTok. It actually was before TikTok, where for some reason some doctors got it in their fucking noodle that this would be like a really quirky, fun marketing thing for their practice, and somehow didn't recognize that this would scare the shit out of people, because no one wants their doctor to be the zany goofball who's going to, fool around during very sensitive surgeries. Would stop to film TikTok videos of them dancing with like pieces of their patients in their hands and using it as props, or just generally dancing or filming skits while operating on a patient. Just imagine that nightmarish scenario. You're about to go unconscious from the anesthesia, and as your eyes are closing, you hear the tick-tock 3-second countdown. And when it hits 0, you just go straight to Valhalla. It's such a terrifying thing to think about because surgery is so sensitive. You don't need me to sit here and tell you how dangerous surgery can be. Obviously, if you've developed object permanence, you can fucking recognize that surgery is something that is not to be taken lightly. It's not small potatoes by any means. So when you're going under for a procedure, you would pray that all of the doctors there are on your team, there for you 100% to, fix whatever the problem is or whatever's going on there. But in this trend, it was the exact opposite. It's like they waited for the patient to go to sleep and turned that fucking operating room into a nightclub. Hey, is the idiot asleep? Perfect. Drop the disco ball, bring in the dancing lobsters. Jill, hit it. Where are my boner jams? We're filming a TikTok. And it led to some problems. Now, the one I want to focus on today is a video that actually was very popular a few years ago and is making the rounds again because there is a follow-up to this story that I'd like to get into after showing it to you.
Latoya Arsheen was among the first to see video of Dr. Wendell Boutte making an incision and mugging for the camera while the rap song Cut It played.
I don't want to get DMCA'd, so I'm not letting the song play, but you know how the song goes. You need to cut it. Little acapella for you.
That's Arsheen on the table. Cut It is your song, girlfriend. You did awesome. The photo release form is signed only by a member of Boutte's staff. Where Arsheen was supposed to sign is blank.
I feel disrespected on a lot of levels.
The song's playing here again while they're dancing with a portion of her flesh. This is actual Ed Gein type shit. This is diabolical. That's like something a Dark Souls boss would do. Use flesh as some kind of instrument. That is so disturbing. Like, I don't know what they were expecting with this video when they posted it. Like, did they think this would become like the official music video for Cut It or something going forward? Or like, I don't know how they thought this was a good idea and how they wouldn't get in trouble for it. Like, this is not what you would want your doctors to be doing while you're under. Because then you have to start to question, well, what else did they do that wasn't filmed? Like, I woke up from the surgery and my butt was a little sore. I'm questioning a lot of things now. Like, what's going on? Like, this is only what they filmed. A far more horrible things also could have been happening off camera. And even what happened on camera is unacceptable. It's just so fucked.
Do you think that's your flesh?
I think it is, with the remainder of the song.
Former patients have now come forward with complaints. Arsheen plans legal action not just about the video, but about her results.
How does your body look now?
Disfigured.
So according to her, her body is disfigured as a result of the surgery, and from what I can tell, many other complaints say the same thing, that they had less than stellar results. As you would probably guess, if your doctor was more focused on making TikToks as opposed to the actual surgical procedure they were supposed to be focusing on. You'd probably have better luck getting your surgery done by some mysterious shady goober off the black market. You'd be risking your kidneys, but in a practice like this, you're risking your whole life here, because you might just die on the operating table because they're too busy focusing on hitting like a fat fucking Gangnam Style while you're under on the table. Really dated myself on that one because I couldn't think of any of the new dance trends, but you get what I'm saying. Now, like I mentioned, a lot of these do predate TikTok. This one in particular, this happened in 2017 through 2018, and it was posted to YouTube and Instagram. But this trend did persist all the way into TikTok, and I'm sure some of you have seen more recent headlines about some dancing doctors on TikTok that have also faced some repercussions for that, luckily. But this one is, I think, the most shocking one, because they are actually dancing around with pieces of the patient. So, the follow-up to this story is there was a lawsuit launched here, obviously, from former patients of this practice. There's numerous videos of Dr. Wendell Boutte here dancing as their patients are under, and as you've seen, even using them as, or parts of them, as props in the dancing. While she's operating, also dancing. The surgical assistants, everyone who even enters the room just gets hit with this fucking boogie virus and they just can't help but dance for the sake of these videos, all while they're supposed to be doing surgery. She faced numerous lawsuits, all of which I believe have resolved, and she's been ordered to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to the victims. She had her medical license suspended, but from what I can tell, it was only suspended for 2.5 years, which means she can legally practice medicine again in Georgia? I actually can't find a follow-up on that, but she wasn't permanently suspended, which I have to raise an eyebrow to. I don't know how this didn't become like a more criminal case where she'd face jail time. Like, I think it is super severe, especially when you look at some of these cases. So, a patient named Silma Cornelius went into her practice, and she was only there for a couple of small things, but was eventually convinced to do bigger procedures, and eventually paid $11,284, and then also had another scheduled cosmetic procedure down the line. So she went back on February 18th of 2016 to return for that cosmetic procedure, and something went wrong. 8 hours into the surgery, after anesthesia was discontinued, and before her lower abdomen had been sutured, she went into cardiac arrest. Paramedics arrived at the scene, and it took 30 minutes to close up her abdomen, and they had to carry her down the stairs because there wasn't an elevator big enough to accommodate a stretcher. And by the time she arrived at the medical center, she was in severe distress, unresponsive, and unable to breathe without a ventilator, and suffered a severe and debilitating catastrophic brain injury, and left her reliant on a feeding tube and around-the-clock care. The quirky dancing doctor was legitimately ruining people's lives, disfiguring them permanently, and in this case, leaving a woman with permanent brain damage. Under no circumstances should she be allowed to practice again. It's not like this is just some kind of freak mistake that she made one time. She had dozens of videos doing this with many victims. Like, this isn't just some kind of whoopsie-daisy that someone makes, like, oh, how was I supposed to know that dancing during surgery and, parading around parts of the patients was a bad idea? Like, what do you mean? This is new information that nobody knew. Like, I couldn't have avoided this. This was truly inevitable. It's fucking ridiculous. I really think she got off very easy in this case. Yes, she was ordered to pay back hundreds of thousands of dollars to some of the victims, but she was also an extremely successful dermatologist. I don't think that hurt her very much. Like, she got off of this, in my opinion, very easy. Now, the anesthesiologist in that Cut It video you just saw also faced some legal problems as well, but he was actually cleared of malpractice last year. In that video I showed you with Cut It playing, Dr. Roland Pinkney was in there dancing as well. He was the anesthesiologist that day, and he was facing some legal issues here, but was ultimately deemed not liable in any way for what the victim had experienced. As a result of this, 100% of the fault was put once again on Wendell, and basically they were arguing that him dancing was not a breach of care. Like, the argument they made ultimately was that it was just him being less than professional, but him being unprofessional doesn't constitute breaching the medical standard of care that he needed to uphold. I have to firmly disagree here. I feel like anyone in that operating room should know that you shouldn't be filming fucking YouTube videos and TikTok dances while you are in the middle of a surgery. Now, in his defense, he was under the impression that the patient consented to having that kind of content made during the procedure. So it does get a little fishy there with exactly what he was aware of. That is a weird thing to consent to. I don't imagine there's many people out there that would be super happy to see themselves under the knife and having their doctors like dance around with their flesh. So that still seems a little odd to me, but ultimately he was found not in violation of that medical standard of care. It was no malpractice on his end, was the verdict. But yeah, pretty fucked up situation that I just wanted to talk a little bit about because I dove into it pretty deep today. That's really about it. So yeah, I've talked about tons of evil companies and industries over the years, but the one I want to talk about today makes Umbrella Corp from Resident Evil look like Weenie Hut Jr. Health insurance. Now, I've ranted and raved about health insurance on stream quite a few times, way before the big thing that happened recently. And I'll just be clear up front that I'm not here to talk too much about Brian Thompson getting banished to the Shadow Realm. I'm here to talk mainly about health insurance itself and how corrupt and malicious it is, as well as the United Health Group CEO Andrew Whitty's video that he made about the response to this whole thing. So to be clear, Brian Thompson was the CEO of United's insurance division. Andrew Whitty is the CEO of United Health Group.
I'm sure everybody has been disturbed by the amount of negative and in many cases vitriolic media and commentary that has been produced over the last few days, particularly in the social media environment.
Yeah, mean words are so much more disturbing than an entire business model that revolves around making oodles of cash off the corpses of your clients as you knowingly deny coverage for life-saving medical treatment for those individuals that have been paying you for so long for the single purpose of you stepping in to help in an emergency situation. Then when that unfortunate time arises, it's just crickets and radio silence and then like a giant stamp of denied from United. Here's a nice little graph that helps showcase how efficient these health insurance providers have become at denying your claims. And United Healthcare, they got it down to a science. They are way out in front. They got the gold medal with 33% denied claims. To put that into Fortnite terms, United is grittying to a fucking winner chicken dinner dubski as you and your loved ones are dying. It's no surprise why people hate health insurance. It's not a political issue like a lot of people are trying to make it. You can see some of the usual suspects on YouTube saying things like, oh, the lefties are celebrating the death of this healthcare CEO, an innocent man just looking to put food on the table for his families. And if you look at the comments, it doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, everyone has been fucked equally by health insurance. They are the Thanos level threat to human beings' survival. Everybody knows somebody, and you may even be the victim yourself, that has been denied by their health insurance provider because the whole purpose of the health insurance business model is you pay them for a long period of time to do a single task for you, which is help in an emergency situation, and their goal is to find ways out of doing that task you pay them for, to fuck you in the face. Literally just let people croak because they don't want to pay the money to cover those procedures that could save someone's life. They make money off normal people dying, and normal people are paying them for the service. It is so fucked up.
And I want to reassure you of a few things. Firstly, we are going to continue to make sure that we put patients, consumers, and members first, as we always have done.
What? Pardon? I must not have heard him right. There's no way Mr. Krabs just tried to sit there with a straight face looking like my wrinkled nutsack saying that United has always put members, consumers, and patients first. What? I mean, maybe he meant like putting them first in the ground after they deny the life-saving medical treatment that they were looking for. Maybe that's what he meant. I'm not entirely sure, but there's no way he actually tried to say that United puts the patients first, right? There's no way. I mean, you could just look at the data. 33% of all claims being denied? Like, in what universe does he think anyone's going to believe that? Everybody has been affected by this. It's not like this is some big secret. Everyone knows how fucking foul the health insurance industry is, and United is the worst offender. Like, here, I'll give you actual footage of the United CEO anytime one of its clients die after a denied claim. Man, I just broke that. Man, look what you made me do, Andrew! Look what you made me do!
The mission of this company is truly to make sure that we help the system improve by helping the experience for individuals get better and better.
Mission failed then, Andrew, in the biggest possible way. And the response that you're seeing to all this should be a pretty clear indication that every single human being on the planet that has been cursed with United health insurance coverage feels that the experience has only gotten worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse as you have made more and more and more and more and more and more doubloons off of denying claims. Hey, real quick, Andrew, can you go ahead and put on your reading glasses and take a peek at this for me? Look at this chart and tell me exactly whose experience has been getting better? Because it's not the normal American that has to have health insurance. It seems more like it might just be United Health Group itself. I'll quickly take a moment to play in the pigpen and tackle the most brain dead that are trying to justify or defend the health insurance companies. Like, I couldn't imagine anything more pathetic than doing free PR for health insurance of all things, but there are those absolute worms out there doing that in the trenches right now. I see a lot of people making the comparison that a health insurance provider denying a claim is not the same as killing someone. It's fundamentally doing that. If someone's coming to their health insurance that they've been paying for how many years, and they are looking for coverage for a very expensive medical procedure, and they say no, and that person dies because they no longer could afford that medical procedure that would have saved their life, then that is the insurance provider fundamentally killing that person. And the comparison that some of the pseudo-intellectual enlightened super dweebs on Twitter are comparing it to is saying like, oh, well, if someone needs a kidney and you're not on the kidney donor list, so you don't give them a kidney, did you murder that person? Shouldn't even really need to explain why that's absolute dog shit, but I'll go ahead and do it anyway. Was that person paying you for years and years with the sole purpose of you donating that kidney to them should they need it? Probably not. They weren't a client or anything like that. Like, not being a kidney donor is completely different than being a health insurance provider who is paid for a sole task, and then they do everything they can to not do that task. And then when someone dies as a result of their refusal to do that task they have been paid for, that is the health insurance provider having a big hand in that person's demise. Another pretty obvious difference here is that giving a kidney is an extremely big deal. Like, that is a risky thing to the person who does it. Whereas in health insurance, the only risk in paying for someone's medical procedure is that your shareholders might not get as many millions of dollars because now you might actually have to start doing what people are paying you for. If there is a chance that United Health paying for a medical procedure means they can't afford to pay for someone else's, then they shouldn't be in business in the fucking first place. It means they're trash at what they're supposed to be doing. They're being paid by everyone to do this task of covering their medical procedures when they need it. And if they can't afford to do that, they should not be around.
There was nobody who did more to try and advance that mission than Brian Thompson. And there are very few people in the history of the US healthcare industry who had a bigger positive effect on American healthcare than Brian.
Hey, come back to reality. Andrew, we're losing you. You're fading into Narnia right now. What are you talking about, man? Making tens of millions of dollars at a company that leads the nation in denied health insurance claims is not pushing the industry in any positive direction for normal Americans, man.
And we are going to make sure that we not only acknowledge and honor that legacy of Brian, but we will continue it.
That's right, everyone. We are going to be pushing for 50% denied claims next year in honor of this mission. It's a lofty goal, but I think we can deny even more claims come 2025. So mark your calendars, 2025 is United's year. We're making history. Half of all claims will be denied. Mark my words. Like, this isn't something you get excited about, man. The mission has just been growing your profits while denying more claims. So you proudly announcing that you're going to be continuing that mission is about as painful as you coming out and saying that you're going to continue waterboarding me. Like, why would I be pumping my fist about that? The only one that gets excited there is your shareholders.
Our role is a critical role, and we make sure that care is safe, appropriate, and is delivered when people need it. And we guard against the pressures that exist for unsafe care or for unnecessary care to be delivered in a way which makes the whole system too complex and ultimately unsustainable.
What is sustainable, though, is all of that growth United keeps experiencing. That's what really matters. We need to make sure that is sustained. This is garbage, man. This is actual just baloney. He's just blabbering about nothing. It's a yappuccino trying to spin this as like them trying to do something good. It's not. What Andrew and his company deem unnecessary care is completely unreasonable oftentimes, where it is very necessary for the patient to stay alive. Well, we denied this claim because we felt it was unnecessary, because we did a cost-benefit analysis and we concluded that the patient was going to die in 60 years anyway, so what's really the point in spending all this money to keep them alive now, when they're just going to kick the bucket in, a couple of decades?
So we're going to continue to make that case. We will continue to do the work we do. And I have never been more proud of this company and our colleagues and what this company does on behalf of people in need across the country.
You would really think, with what happened here, someone like Andrew, and I don't believe that he's even really human anymore. I believe he has sold his soul many, many years ago and is just this hollow husk that's only filled with money. But you would still think at some point the neurons would fire in his noodle and he'd see this response and be like, that mission, about helping people, kind of failed at that, didn't we? Maybe we should do something different. But he hasn't even had that realization. Or maybe he has and he just doesn't care, which is the more likely explanation. But you would just truly think that the reality would set in like, oh, people fucking hate us. People are awake to how exploitative we are and how we are actively making their lives harder.
I encourage you to tune out that critical noise that we're hearing right now. It does not reflect reality. It is simply a sign of an era in which we live.
Great advice. All those people talking about how corrupt this industry is, yes, please plug your ears to that so that way you don't actually hear from the victims of our business model. We don't want you to start feeling sympathy for the numbers on our bottom line, all right? We need to make sure that we don't look at them as anything real. They're just imaginary NPCs for our money, and we like that money, don't we? It's just so crazy. It's so crazy. He's saying that it doesn't reflect reality. Brother, that is the reality. These are your clients that are coming out and sharing their experiences. It doesn't get any more real than that. As opposed to your fucking barnacles that you're vomiting out here, that is the fraudulent fakeness. The reality is that people have been fucked by your health insurance company and plenty of others. The industry is rotten to its very core, and people know that, which is why this isn't some big political issue of left and right. Everyone is united in how hard they have been fucked and how many times they have seen people be affected negatively by this industry. And this guy just refuses to let that set in, and he's trying to brainwash his employees to just be numb to it and pay no attention to it.
What we must do is focus on what we know to be true. And what we know to be true is that the health system needs a company like United Health Group, and it needs people like Brian within it. We're fortunate that within this company, we have so many people driven and inspired in the same way that Brian was, and we will continue in our journey to help everybody who needs it within the health environment.
It's just crazy. I know I don't need to keep ranting about it, but it actually does just blow my mind that he would even say things like that, which are so provably false. it's honestly like almost a threat that they have plenty of other people like Brian in the company that are as inspired as Brian and focusing on what Brian was focusing on, which is clearly the profits in the company and denying more claims so they can make more money. That's a bad thing. And he's just talking about it like it's an accolade to be super proud of and something to be excited about. It's just frightening. It's actually just frightening. So yeah, I wanted to rant about health insurance a little bit. That's it. So yeah. There's nothing more patriotic than taking an expensive ambulance ride to the hospital in the case of an emergency. It's become a very popular joke that if whatever puts you in the ambulance in the first place doesn't kill you, the financial debt that you'll accrue from your hospital stay plus ambulance ride will. That'll throw you 6 feet under. That'll bury you. You're actually looking at a back-to-back ambulance rider champion here. I'm a bit of an aficionado. Back in high school when my lung kept collapsing, I took a spin in an ambulance twice because of it. And my parents obviously care a lot about me, but I could tell both times that ambulance pulled up, their souls left their body. Because getting visited by an ambulance is like getting visited by a money dementor. It just sucks your shit up. The first ambulance ride was one that I couldn't really avoid, but the second one, they actually transported me in an ambulance from one hospital wing to the other, which to this day I still believe is a scam, and my dad will still shake his fist about, because I could have just walked from one wing to the other. Like, I could have just been transported in like maybe a wheelchair or something, but instead they put me in an ambulance to take me like half a mile. And I'd already been at the hospital for a pretty extended period of time, so it's not like I was, needing an ambulance to get me from point A to point B. I was stable. I could just, with my own power, go from one wing to the other. But they insisted on the ambulance. And in the ambulance, I wasn't even hooked up to any gear or anything. I was just kind of sitting there hanging out for the 3-minute ride. And that was, I believe, $800 to go that far. And the first ambulance ride was like $1,500 or something like that. The average ambulance ride cost in the US is like $400 to $1,200. It has a huge range depending on the state, but it doesn't seem like there's anything like super consistent with it. All that is consistent is how fucking expensive that is. But anyway, I'm getting really sidetracked. What I want to talk about is there was a bike rider in Oregon who actually just got hit by an ambulance, and then that ambulance, after blasting him on the road like it was twisted metal, picked up the bike rider, threw him in the back of the ambulance, transported him to the hospital, and billed him $1,800 for it. Can you even imagine? You're riding your bike, you get hit by an ambulance, and then they charge you $1,800 for the inconvenience of hitting you and bringing you to the hospital for the problem they caused. Galaxy brain, nefarious scheme. That is a scam that Ed, Edd n Eddy would have run, unironically. I know I use that comparison a lot, but this is actual Ed, Edd n Eddy tier. It's so good. Like, oh, we need jawbreakers. Ed, what do you think we should do? Well, let's go hit Rolf with a hammer and then charge him 25 cents for the Band-Aid. Like, that is basically what this is. I don't think they hit the bike rider on purpose, but even still, they struck the cyclist and then charged them $1,800 for the transportation fee in the ambulance. His name is William Hosch, he's 71, and he was hit by the ambulance in question after its driver made a right turn, fracturing his nose and leaving him with scrapes as well as other injuries across his body. And now he's suing the Columbia River Fire and Rescue Department for nearly $1 million after they sent him an $1,800 bill for the ambulance ride. He claims he was left with permanent injuries and accrued $47,000 in medical expenses so far, with an additional $50,000 anticipated after his visit to the hospital. As they say, the dildo of justice rarely comes lubed, and I'm hoping William gets in there raw. I'm hoping he wins that lawsuit, because that is just some barnacles right there. That's some straight up fucking fish paste. The ambulance hits him and then charges him money for the ride. And it seems like it's not, like, it doesn't seem like they're on the hook for any damages, so he's not owed any money, even though they caused the problem. They are at fault, at least from everything I've seen here. And now he has to go through a tedious, expensive lawsuit in order to get any amount of compensation for an issue they caused. That's so crazy. The lawsuit claims that in 2022, Hosch was traveling in the same direction as an ambulance on his bicycle, and the vehicle tried to make a right turn to another street, and it crashed into him, destroying his bike. The ambulance driver estimated they were going between 2 and 10 miles per hour. Hosch estimated to police that he was going between 5 and 10. Crash left him covered in blood and resulted in prolonged injuries and pain, stiffness, tenderness, discomfort, impaired range of motion, and reduced grip. Now, it's important to remember that this man is 71 years old. So in 2022, we can do the math, he would have been 69 years old. That's not exactly a spring chicken. At that age, getting struck by a large vehicle is absolutely going to do some substantial lasting damage, I would imagine, even if it's not going 30 miles per hour, right? Unless William's got bones made out of adamantium, that's going to lead to some boo-boos. I don't think he's just making up these claims. I don't think he's doing some traditional ambulance chasing, as it's called, where someone fakes an injury after an accident in order to get a payday from it. That's not what this case strikes me as. It seems like he actually does have like a fractured nose and medical expenses that he'd like to be compensated for, considering the problem was caused by the ambulance. It doesn't sound like William was at fault. It doesn't sound like he was driving recklessly or not paying attention. I haven't seen any reports of William, popping a wheelie while giving the middle finger to the ambulance while he's going down the sidewalk and then losing control and crashing into them. So I feel like he's probably in the right here to be upset that he got charged for the ambulance ride and then also had some big medical expenses slapped on top of that. So I do think he's got some big ground to stand on here for this lawsuit. Also, there's this picture from the scene, and it had me giggling because the authorities are looking around like they're trying to locate body parts from William, like they just blew him to pieces and they're trying to locate the remnants. Like, come on, you couldn't at the very least just waive the ambulance fee considering the situation here? Was that really off the table? Now, there is a picture of William Hoche after the accident in a hospital bed, and his face is all bloodied, so he definitely did get injured. Again, this isn't him just like making things up, at least I don't see it that way, and not based on the evidence presented. He mentions that he believed the ambulance was going to keep going straight. It was like going down a hill. He thought it was still going straight, so I'm guessing there wasn't a turn signal, or at the very least William didn't see one. Then the ambulance suddenly turned right, and William was left with no time to react to it to avoid it. But the ambulance driver said he believed he had his turn signal on. Now, whether or not the turn signal was actually on, who really knows? But all I know is this headline was something special. An ambulance hitting a man and then charging him $1,800 to bring him to the hospital. That is unhinged. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit. That's it. So yeah. I've been more into lawsuits than Saul Goodman recently. I've become such a huge lawsuit enthusiast over the last 6 or so months. Not me issuing lawsuits, I've still never done that. Though, with all the stories I've read, that could be a very interesting branch of content, just frivolously filing lawsuits to see how it goes, I guess. Because apparently no one ever gets punished for doing that. Best example is the classic silly Billy Mitchell, the video game player of the century who files a new lawsuit anytime someone makes a joke about him being a cheater. And I'm not using the word allegedly, Billy. You are a scumbag cheater, and I hope you lose all of your ongoing lawsuits, brother. But anyway, enough bravado here and lat spreading on Billy Mitchell, celebrating every single L that he keeps taking, and will most likely continue to keep taking. Let's focus on what I want to talk about. I have really enjoyed diving into the most outrageous, most unhinged lawsuits imaginable. And last night, I found the magnum opus. This is the craziest lawsuit I've ever even been made aware of. There was a lawsuit I covered a couple years ago where there was a Twitch viewer who was suing Twitch because they were showing him female streamers and he couldn't stop jerking off, so he was suing for millions of dollars worth of damages, claiming it's immoral that Twitch would have these, female streamers doing suggestive things and it forces him to masturbate or whatever. And that, to me, for a while, was probably one of the most entertainingly awful lawsuits I'd read about. But what I read last night actually beats it. A man in Australia filed a lawsuit against a hospital for $1 billion Australian dollars, which converts to about 643 million freedom bucks. And the reason he was suing this hospital is because he watched his wife give birth. He believed that what he had witnessed there was basically a war crime, like a violation of his human rights and a complete failure on that hospital's duty of care to him to make sure that he didn't see that. He was upset because the hospital not only allowed him to watch his wife's birth via C-section, but also encouraged it. Which to me doesn't sound like anything weird from the hospital. I mean, they call it the miracle of childbirth for a reason. Plus, if he wasn't allowed to watch it, I feel like that would be a huge problem. Being denied access to your wife during the most important moment of your relationship, I imagine would actually be grounds for a lawsuit. Most people, I would imagine, would want to be there with their partner to comfort and, be able to take part in the gift of life, I guess. But this guy believed that they should have, shielded his eyes and plugged his ears or something, and the fact that they didn't caused him psychotic illness. And he believes he's entitled to at least $1 billion Australian dollars in damages. Did you hear about the man suing a hospital for $642 million after watching his wife's C-section and said it gave him a psychotic illness? You've got my attention. You undersold this. He's actually suing the hospital for $643 million. Man tries to sue a hospital for $643 million after he was encouraged to watch his wife's C-section. A man in Australia accused a hospital in Melbourne of causing him to develop a psychotic illness after he watched his wife undergo a cesarean section. Interesting. 643 million clams. Anil Coppola tried to sue the Royal Women's Hospital for letting him watch his wife's birth via C-section in 2018. He unsuccessfully sought 1 billion Australian dollars, which is 643 million. A judgment on the lawsuit filed in the Supreme Court of Victoria in Melbourne last week shows. How could this have not worked? What went wrong? Mr. Coppola's wife that day had a healthy baby delivered by cesarean section. Mr. Coppola alleges that he was encouraged or permitted to observe the delivery, that in the course of doing so he saw his wife's internal organs and blood, and that the experience caused the onset of a psychotic illness. He says the hospital breached the duty of care it owed to him and is liable to pay him damages. The hospital admits that it owed to him a duty of care, but denied that it breached it and does not accept that he suffered any injury. In his amended statement of the claim on October 22nd, Mr. Coppola, who is self-represented, that sounds about right. That tracks. Assessed his damages for psychological injury at $1 billion. Isn't this so cringe? The human body is so cringe that C-sections are pretty common because we're not developed enough. We haven't evolved enough to make birthing efficient. So oftentimes they have to deliver the baby through the stomach. Evolution just is... It's got to catch up. We've got to redefine the meta. Birthing should be like the most efficient thing humans are good at. It's like the whole purpose of being an organism. To reproduce. I was just talking to my mom about that. That is an interesting conversation to have with your mom, but yeah, it is a fascinating anomaly why we haven't evolved to be better at it. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, 32.1% of all baby deliveries in the U.S. in 2021 were cesarean section. Wow. Coppola filed the lawsuit several years after the operation, saying it caused the onset of a psychotic illness that led to a breakdown of his marriage. Yeah, that was the reason. The reason me and my wife broke up is because I had to watch her get a C-section and I've never been the same. I couldn't look at her the same way. She grossed me out. It was so fucking yucky. I hated her for it. And I hated the hospital for making me see her like that. I've seen her inside and out. Yeah, stared into the abyss. Coppola chose to represent himself in court, where Justice James Gorton dismissed the suit and deemed the claim an abuse of process. I would agree with that. Did he give him like a big speech like, listen, goofball, this is ridiculous. Go home. Get out of my court. If men could birth, would you rather birth an NFL football out of your brown eye or a U.S. quarter out of your one eye? What a philosophical inquiry. I don't know. If I could, if I had to give birth right now and I got to choose, I'd probably try and do it like Majin Buu. So I'd vomit up the creature. I'd really rather not tear my whole ass out or anything like that. That's Piccolo. No, Majin Buu did that too, right? When he vomited out into Super Buu? Or am I misremembering? The trial proceedings included a medical examination of Coppola, with the panel concluding the degree of psychiatric impairment did not satisfy the threshold level, according to the judgment. Lawsuits that are seeking damage for non-economic losses such as this one require that an injury is significant, the judgment said. With regards to the medical panel's conclusion, Coppola said he disagreed with it, though the judgment said he was unable to agitate the correctness of it. I can't believe he didn't get $1 billion out of this because he watched his wife's C-section and then they got a divorce 3 years later. I want to see if this was televised. I'd love to see how he defended himself. Unfortunately, no footage exists of how this panned out, but man, I would really like to hear some of his arguments. No, listen, Your Honor, you don't understand. A baby came out from her tummy. I can't sleep anymore. I can't even look at her anymore. It's why our marriage fell apart, damn it. It's the hospital's fault for letting me see such a thing. I also love the confidence and delusion to ask for $1 billion from this. Our marriage was so good, Your Honor, you don't understand. It was worth at least $1 billion in order to make up for all of this hardship. I can't believe this. How could they be so cruel to let me see my child being born? No, damn you. Now, obviously, I think this is one of those cases where someone knows that it's ridiculous, but they try anyway and hope to settle out of court. So they go for like this alarmingly huge number and then try and like negotiate behind closed doors to just squash it. But with something this outlandish, that was never even in the cards. This is such a bogus baloney claim that it never even made it anywhere and never stood a chance either. I think there is a 0% chance that this guy is permanently scarred for life after watching his wife give birth. Like, I understand C-sections are a little scary. Like, I know what they are. Now, granted, I've never seen one in person, so maybe it's different in the Thunderdome. Maybe I'd see it and also just have a full-blown breakdown, my universe crumbles around me, and it fucks me up for life. But even in that case, I still don't think I'd ever win a case for $1 billion because of that. I think that's a hard sell right there. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this one a little bit because this one had me giggling. This is probably this has to be among the largest asks for a lawsuit based on legitimately nothing. So yeah, just wanted to talk about this a bit. That's it. See ya.